This is the Real Change Wilmington podcast, episode 35, Beckers SMASH-tastic Burgers, with our guest today, Clinton Becker.
At the end of the day, you just have to take a leap of faith. If you're going to do it, it's a leap of faith. I'm like, man, I got a bunch of kids. I got a lot of bills, right? I've been a successful salesperson for a long time. I could lose everything, right? So I finally decided one day I was at the dealership, Chill Coffee, and I'm like, I don't love this anymore. And I'm going to do not only am I doing myself a disservice, but I'm doing the clients a disservice. So I decided to just do the food truck full time, which was terrifying. My wife's like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
What is going on, everyone? This is your host of the Real Change Wilmington podcast, Dustin Pierce.
And I'm the co-host, Emily Griffin.
We have a great podcast for you guys today. It was very fun to talk to Clinton and to hear about his story of the food truck, to hear about his car sales days before that, and to hear about his con man days before that. So very interesting guy, super interesting podcast, kind of long, but full of gold. So
lots of laughs.
Lots of laughs. Before we get into the podcast, I want to remind people that Real Change Wilmington is a positive, constructive, and lighthearted source of local news, events, and resources. On our podcast, we interview leaders of local organizations to help squash rumors and just increase a sense of pride and community in Wilmington. And before we talk to Clinton, we always do a recap on how our lives are going. So Emily, just roll her eyes. How has life been, Emily? What's new?
Well, as we've been posting on social media, and I'm sure everybody in the community has heard me talk about or asked you about, I did move. I'm relocated to Columbus on the second to last day of December. And thank God for Dustin, because I would have been real SOL without him.
Absolutely.
My mom said that I owe Dustin my life now.
Yeah, so you can't quit Make Sure now. No, you hired movers.
I did hire movers.
They flaked out because they got COVID.
Yeah, they got COVID, and
we tried to get Sugar Tree Ministries to help them move,
but they were all busy.
And good old reliable Dustin to the rescue.
Dustin and my parents in a 10-foot box truck.
Good thing I have that small thing of tools in my car too to disassemble your bed and reassemble it.
And my dresser, which never got reassembled, but that's fine because I like it better that way.
Yeah. Well, since you're not going to ask about my life.
How was your life, Dustin, before you start crying on the podcast?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what's going on in my life. I got some new chickens recently. Always talk about my chickens in the podcast, but I got some new ones that are coming on the 24th of January. Olive Eggers, Americanos, and some Orpingtons. So I'm going to have fluffy pet chickens, blue eggs, and green eggs, and ham.
Living your best life.
And then we're also doing a new campaign to help our community and our schools work together and be proud to pass our levy. So that's something we're doing. Clinton.
What an interesting man.
He took a while to get on our podcast.
That is true. I reached out to Clinton initially about advertising. I was like, hey, you got this food truck. Everybody loves you. You want to be an advertiser for the Real Change Wilmington print edition? And he was like, I'd love to. I'm mega busy. And I was like, I get that. I dropped him off a paper, talked to him. He actually reached out about a website. And then we were just discussing ideas for the next paper. And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, do you want to have an article, just like with some information about you? And he sent us this thing. And Dustin came in on Monday and I said, listen, we got to get this guy on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's interesting.
Yeah. Emily wrote the article from what he sent. And I was like, that's a very interesting story. So I think before that, I just had the burgers a few times and they're very good. But
they had gotten a new contract with somewhere.
To have his food truck at a location that was really busy. Yeah.
And then we understood, and then we rescheduled, and he did come this past week and shared his crazy life and his cool story.
Yeah. Just a guy who's been like beaten down again and again and again. But it's cool he's overcame that. And it was cool some of the grace and redemption he's received through all that and being the honest car guy. I didn't know before the podcast that he was the honest car guy because I never bought a car from him. I just remember seeing those ridiculous yard signs around town.
The dishonest car guy?
No, I was like, what's that goofy guy's face on those yard signs? Like, I would never put my face on a yard sign.
A billboard.
A billboard is fine. It's out of reach. But a yard sign, like, people could be desecrating that left and right. I'm sure he's had that.
I'm going to climb up on that billboard with a mustache.
You're not going to climb anything, Emily. Let's just be real.
Real change.
Yeah.
Real change and put my mustache on Dustin's billboard.
Wow. Okay. So Emily did want to mention an idea so Clinton talks about having a food truck rally at some point, wanting to do that in Wilmington. It's been a passion of Emily's to do that as well. And last summer, we talked about trying to bring back the Banana Split Festival, since we did create the Banana Split here in Wilmington. We also created the caramel corn cake here. And one day we'll have a caramel corn cake festival. Flashback. Yeah, but anyways, so if anyone's interested in a food truck rally / bringing back the Banana Split Festival together, that'd be fun as heck.
Yeah, reach out.
All Emily's idea.
That's right. I want all the credit. Right on my resume.
Yeah. Something that's really cool is Clinton has like achieved his dream of opening up a food truck and having his own business, but still it's not all rainbows and butterflies. He discovered that he has like arthritis and tendonitis now, and he's still out there every morning unloading his trailer, like, putting it all up and stuff. And it's hard work. So mad respect for Clinton.
Mad respect for Clinton.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Let's bring him in. All right. Clinton, thank you for being on our podcast.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So how's your day been so far?
Good. Flipping burgers.
Yeah.
So far. Yeah. Flipping burgers and doing a couple car deals. So it's been a busy day.
Yeah. What's your days look like?
Normally it's a lot of burger stuff. That's a lot more, since I started the food truck, it's a lot more work than I thought it was, but it's a lot of preparation, getting stuff ready for the food truck. It usually takes a couple hours ahead of time to get everything set up. And now that I'm getting back more into car sales, adding car sales into that mix, right? So I might be prepping stuff for the food truck and then answering text messages for customers or trying to work a deal while I'm doing that. So it's a lot of multitasking in ways that I've never done before, not having any food truck business knowledge before.
And you said before we got the podcast that you might do another food truck too. So
yeah,
keep them on top of that.
Yeah. We've got that little 12-foot trailer that, we've got some ideas for, which I think would be awesome, right? Expand the options for our community.
So besides selling cars and flipping burgers, what are some of your hobbies?
So I love video games. I'm a big video game person right now. I'm on Red Dead Redemption 2 again. I'm a big Red Dead fan. And
what console?
Xbox. I'm an Xbox guy. My son would tell you that PlayStation is the only console that exists. I had a PC, couldn't do it. So I'm pretty much married to my Xbox. So
you just fantasize about like being a cowboy then? Is that?
Yeah, it is. Literally when I get on there, I like, my wife doesn't have the love I have for video games, but I love role playing games. I'm like, yeah. So one day I'm a cowboy, and the next time it can be anything I want. But yeah, that's one hobby, video games, and then just my kids. We've got they keep us busy. I have an art background. I don't do it that often, but another hobby I love is drawing, pencil drawing. It's probably been about a year since I've done anything, but yeah, that's a big hobby that I want to get back into eventually.
Nice. Emily does some drawing.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Just little doodles.
Yeah. I can draw what I see, in my mind, I can't do it. But if I look at it, I can replicate it. But people are like, just draw something out of your mind. Like, yeah, I don't.
So since you're playing Red Dead 2,
yeah.
The pressing question is, did you name your horse?
No, I just literally, it pops up in my horse and I put a 2 next to it. So I'm probably just going to my horse 2, my horse 3. Yeah. I'm the guy that also with any video games have character creation. I do it in like 5 minutes. Like some people are like, man, we got an hour and 30 minutes to create my character. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm just leaving the nose the way it is. So yeah.
Wow. Get to the action.
That's right. Yeah. Just get to the game.
So tell us where you're from and what it was like for you growing up.
So born and raised here. I was actually born at Clinton Memorial Hospital. Lived in Wilmington or Sabina when I was young. That house fire kind of put us in between Wilmington and Sabina. So I grew up over by Melvin Stone Quarry on a farm, which was great. And this has been my hometown forever. I've left a few times. The longest I left we were probably gone for almost 3.5 years to Florida, but I always come back, right? Wilmington's my home. So born and raised here. My family is all from here, Clarksville. My mother's side of the family is all Clarksville area. My father is more like Kettering, that kind of area. But Wilmington's always been my home. Yeah.
Did you have like farm animals and stuff growing up?
We did. We did. It wasn't our farm. Like my parents rented it. There were cows. My sister and I would like to torment the cows. Like jump in there and try and play with them when my parents weren't home. But yeah, there was a couple cows. That was it. In fields, we would run in and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So different times back then, man. That was when you could just go outside and disappear in the country and play, and there wasn't really any worries.
Yeah.
Not so much nowadays, but yeah, it was. I loved it. I loved living in the country. I love it.
So you're married.
Yep.
How did you meet your wife?
So I met my wife, man. My first job was Yule's IGA when Rob Yule owned it in Sabina, and I was a bag boy there. And my wife was an office person, manager, I think, and she despised me and hated me. Like, she's about 6 years older than I am. She thought I was a smart aleck little punk, which probably was, and then, I got older, and we reconnected many years in the future, and we've been together ever since 2007. I mean, it's crazy because, she jokes about how she thought I was I bleached blonde, dyed hair back then.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I was that guy, spiky, like Sonic the Hedgehog, but bleached blonde. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Before, like, this was back in like 99, 98. But yeah, so I met her back then, and I worked there for quite a while. And then again, I'm a Christian person. I believe God brought us together in the right time. Like I said, we've been together since 2007. We've got, a lot of kids, man. We've got 3 kids together. And then I've got 2 kids that I've raised as my own since 2007, Hannah and Zoe. Hannah's 27 or 28. I can't remember. Married. Zoe's 19. And then the 3 that Rose and I have, Devin, Lexi, and Willow, man. And our youngest is 3 and our oldest is 27 and married. So it's a big span.
Oh, wow. It's a big span.
Yeah, big span. Willow was not planned. She's amazing. But my wife was like, I'm not having a baby at 40-some years old. And
oh, wow.
It's like, yes, you are. Yeah.
So do you adopt 2 of your kids, or?
No, they're not legally adopted, but I refer to Hannah and Zoe as my own. I've raised them since 2007. I've never been a fan of the whole step kid, like, verbiage, which is funny because, I'm 41, and, many years ago, I would say to people in the car business, hey, I love this type of car. I sold my daughter. That was her first car. And people would look at me and be like, shady car salesman, you're not old enough to have a daughter that can drive.
You're just saying something.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't refer to her as my stepdaughter. Like, but yeah, no, not legally adopted, but they're definitely mine. I love them as if they were mine, and definitely proud of them. They're amazing. I mean, I couldn't be here today if it wasn't for them because they're running the food truck right now. So they're amazing.
Yeah. We appreciate them giving you time off for that.
Heck yeah.
What was a defining moment in your childhood that changed the course of your life?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Was that in the email? Did I answer?
No.
I was like,
I sent you like.
That's a good question. Defining moment in my childhood.
Or is it just all rainbows and butterflies?
Yeah, I mean, I had
tormenting cows.
Tormenting cows. I had a great childhood. My parents were hard workers. My dad's a taxidermist, so he's they refer to as a starving artist, right? He worked his butt off forever. I don't know if there's really any defining moments in my childhood, because I had a pretty good childhood, right? Raised to just respect people, to work hard. My parents are still alive and healthy, so there was no any big shifts during my childhood that would have caused any defining moments. I don't think as in my childhood that I can recall any.
Okay. So
definitely more as I got older.
Sure. I understand. And this is coming from Emily, who is sometimes right and sometimes very wrong. So I understand that you used to live in Florida.
Yeah.
You got a felony for timeshare fraud.
Yes.
Then afterwards you committed to, you committed to God, to be honest. You were known as the honest car guy around town from that ridiculous yard sign.
Yeah, that is it.
And then, and now you live in your dream on a smash burger truck. So take us on that journey. Tell us the story.
So yeah, I grew up in a Christian home, taught good values, right? What's right and wrong, respect people. Unfortunately, at a young age, I decided to just kind of do my own thing, right? I turned 18. I held back my 3rd grade year. So my junior year, I turned 18. So buddy, when I turned 18, I was like, I know everything, which led to just a lot of chaos, right, in my life. I met my wife, my now wife Rose, in 2007. And we lived here in Wilmington. I worked at Wilmington Auto Center. I was like 24 years old, right? I was a good person as far as the world standards, which doesn't really say much, but as far as the world standards, I was a good person. We relocated to Florida. I left Wilmington Auto Center, moved to Florida. I got hired at 2 interviews at car dealerships. I had 2 offers at 2 car dealerships, and I had another interview for timeshare resale. I didn't even know what a timeshare was. Had no clue. I just knew that it was in an office and air conditioning, and it was hot in Florida. And I was like, man, do I really want to sell cars in Florida out on the blacktop? So I interviewed for a timeshare resale job. Had no clue what it was. They're like, you're going to call people, offer to rent or sell their timeshares. We market them at the Orange County Convention Center. They had a website. They were on the news. And I'm like, cool. So I took that job, right? Unfortunately, that led me to find out that Florida is saturated with timeshare fraud like crazy. Like if anybody is listening,
I was going to say, like, isn't timeshare itself a fraud?
Yeah,
like,
timeshare itself is.
So come on.
So if anybody's listening that has a timeshare, please, you cannot rent or sell it. It's just not, you're not going to do it. If anybody calls you and says they can, they're full of crap. And, and at that time I was gone away from God, right? A lot of the values that were instilled into me as a child were not there, right? I just sort of was living for myself. So I took this job. I was really good at it. I've always been good at sales, good at talking to people. So I quickly excelled one of the top producers in the call center, and the owners loved that. And they made me feel real good. And, they're good about giving you things to make you want to sell more. And probably 6 to 9 months into it.
Emily does sales here. So she's like,
yeah, it is like perks.
Where's my stuff at?
Exactly. The owner would be like, here, great job for leading the sales. Here's a gift card. Here's a gift card for $400 to a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
It's just like me and my wife went, Lambos were pulling up. And I'm like, oh, cool. We got a Pontiac G6. And then it was like, oh, the gift card was good for one time. This is crazy. Right. So, they made sure to keep
covers the appetizer.
Well, it was ridiculous. Like, we sat down, I'm like, I'm underdressed. This is crazy.
Just in your Tommy Bahama.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not. They're all down there wearing like Ed Hardy and stuff, right? That was in 2007. That was everybody's wearing Ed Hardy and jeans with diamonds on them and stuff, right?
Oh wow.
So I got in the timeshare business and I did really well. And then one day a call came through to my line that was supposed to go to customer service. The lady was ripping me and cussing me out and telling me that we were a fraud. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So I did my own digging and found that the company wasn't as honest as they said they were. And at that point, again, being just a person of the world, I was making good money at that time, right? And I had kids, and I was, again, 25 years old with 2 children that I was taking on as my own. Rose and I had Lexi, who was very young at the time. And I thought, you know what? They do advertise online, so they kind of do what they say. So I just rolled with it, right? That led me down a path of meeting some really bad people. It took me into a really dark world of timeshare resale, which is ultimately 100% scam city, right? This is something that I've shared openly for years and years with people. And, it led me to meet some people that had no values at all. And they were, I fell into that trap, and I was motivated by greed and power. That was it. All I cared about was money and power. And it sucked me into a really dark hole. I'd already had I already at the time liked to drink and things like that. So that led me down a deeper hole of drinking, drug addiction. I'd used cocaine, things like that. It just took me down a really dark path. And Florida was great at first, and then it became all about me. I was very disconnected from my family. My wife, there was many times she would be at home days at a time by herself. I would just disappear. And then it came to the point where I was just a full-blown con artist. That's what we did. We just ran full-fledged scams.
Like you knew you were doing it, and then you just
100%.
went for it. Yeah.
And that's one thing. Like some people are like, well, maybe you didn't really know. Like, no, I did. And that's the thing. I've always been honest. I feel that, my past doesn't define me. These decisions don't define me. And I'm a big believer in, if you have people in your circle or in your life that want to make your past define you,
sure,
and you've tried to come out of that, they shouldn't be in your circle.
No, toxic.
Yeah, I'm not going to have that in my life. I went to be a full-fledged con man. I tell people it's kind of like Wolf of Wall Street, just not as intense, right? Like it was crazy. And I look back now and it's like, I can't believe some of the stuff that I was a part of and that I did. But my family all had Christian values, my mother-in-law, and they'd all been praying for me in the background. And, we ended up going to a church in Florida. My brother-in-law kept pressing us to go. Then we went to this southern church. It was crazy. Right when we walked in, the first guy just hugged me. And I wanted to punch him. I was a very angry person at the time. I had a handlebar mustache. I was like, don't touch me. Oh, I did. I thought it was awesome. And I'm like, what is happening? And, we went back the next week. That week between church, I went back to my normal life of scamming people, abusing cocaine, being a dirtbag. And we went back a second Sunday, and halfway through the service, it was like, I know who I am. I know my creative value. What is happening? And I remember walking out of that service halfway through, called my sister who was married to a pastor and told her everything. Said my life's a fraud. I'm a liar. I'm a dirtbag. I don't have this real successful job at a company. And then it was the fun part of confessing to everybody. And then everybody was like, yeah, we kind of knew something was up. We just could put our finger on it. Like we knew you weren't doing what you said you did. And that made me come to the realization that you only fool yourself, right? Like I was a professional liar, but I'd only really fool myself. Everybody else knew something was wrong. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I decided, I'm going to give my life to God and completely change. And that's kind of where the honest car guy thing came from. Not at that time, but in that moment, I said to God, look, from now on, I'm going to be honest about everything. If I'm leaving this life, but if it ever comes back to me, if law enforcement ever comes to me 10 years from now, I'm going to be honest about what I did. And that was kind of the defining moment in my life, right? At that point was, I'm going to be honest no matter what. I don't care what it costs me. If it costs me everything, I'm still going to be honest, right? That's a value that I think is super important. Whether it's what someone doesn't want to hear, I'd rather be honest with them, right? Because the world is full of people that just take what you want to hear. Yeah. So
but you did get charges though, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
How did that happen?
So we left Florida, and at that point it was very intense. People were calling, threatening to kill me if I was going to leave the life, threatening to kill my family. Like, it was intense.
People who were at the company?
Yeah. The company,
oh,
right?
Wow.
Air quotes. Yeah. No, it was horrible. I remember one night at our beautiful home in Florida getting a voicemail that said people were going to kill my family in front of me. And in that moment, of course, my wife's like, I'm going to kill you. What have you done? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I've got a real cell phone and I've got a burner cell phone. And I'm like, I can't even call the police. Like, what am I going to call? I'm going to call the Orange County Sheriff and say, hey, someone's threatening to kill me. And they're going to say, why? Oh, because I've been a dirtbag for 3 years and I've been scamming people and I want to leave and be a legitimate citizen again. Like, how can I do that without confessing to a crime? So I was in a very horrible spot. Now that thankfully went away. You know, it was empty threats, but we packed up and came back to Ohio. Now I left Wilmington Auto Center when I moved to Florida. So I called, it was the next day. I remember sitting in the living room and I called John Atkins, the owner, and I said, hey, John, you always joke that I could come back whenever. He's like, yeah, when do you want to start? So we packed up, we moved the family back to Florida, and my wife's whole family lived in Florida and they were slowly coming back already. So we packed up, moved back to Florida and, started back at Wilmington Auto Center, and I was maybe there a month. And I'm on the lot with the owner, John, parking some cars. I see these guys in suits show up, and I'm just sitting there looking at them. And I went, well, today's the day. Those look like law enforcement agents. And they were. They were with the Ohio Attorney General's office. Florida Department of Law Enforcement had contacted them and sent them after me. So they came to the dealership looking for me. And that was the day that I went to the state troopers barracks with two guys from the Ohio Attorney General's office and did what I said I would do and confessed to everything, which I think made it more mad that I wasn't playing games with them. I just signed my rights away and told them everything.
Officer, I am the honest part.
Yeah. It's like, and I don't think they didn't like the fact that I was like making it. I was just like, no, I just want to tell you everything. And, and that was something that it was funny. My lawyer, he's since passed, Justin Gray, was an amazing person in Wilmington. And, he's definitely a missed person, but he's
like, from now on, you tell me, then I'll tell them.
The first thing Justin said was, Clinton, you can be a good man of God and not tell them anything.
Yeah.
Call your lawyer first.
Sure.
But it was one of those things where I said, if they come to me, I'm going to do it. So I waived my rights and I told them everything, which in the long run helped, right? Like anything in life, don't bullcrap people.
Yeah.
I was just straightforward. Yes. They're like, what do you know about this? Yes. I was 100%, I'm 100% guilty. I'd like to tell you everything. And they're kind of like, what? I would like to tell you everything. So they recorded it and I confessed everything.
They woke up that morning thinking it was going to be NCIS.
Yeah. And I'm just like, no, I would like to tell you everything. And and that benefit.
You didn't tell them like, I want immunity first.
That's right. Yeah. I should have done.
I'll rat everybody out.
They say in all those shows.
Yeah.
But it helped me and I confessed everything. And that created a long drawn out couple years of going back and forth to Florida, going there, turning myself in, getting bailed out with my lawyer, coming back, multiple trips back and forth to Florida. State of Florida wanted 2 years, me to go to prison for 2 years in Florida. I'm terrified, right? I got kids and I'm like, this is crazy. I don't want to go to Florida anymore. I hate Florida now. It's my fault, but I hate Florida.
Forget Disney World.
I'm like, I want to line the edge of Florida with dynamite and blow it away. Like, I don't want to be a part of it.
Yikes.
So I'm like, great. So now I'm going back and forth to Florida with my lawyer. The state wants me. The prosecutors, I don't know if they liked me, but they kind of had a respect for what my life had become, right? Because I think when you really change or when people can sense that. So long story short, we went before the judge, like 2 years, took 2.5 years or something. It was forever. The state of Florida wanted 2 years prison. I'm pretty confident I could have maybe got away without any time, but one of the other defendants, there were 3 of us, one of them's lawyer wouldn't shut up, made the judge mad, and the judge all of a sudden was just like 18 months, 6 months, and 6 months. So I got 6 months in Hillsborough County Jail in Tampa. And that's not Clinton County. That's Tampa. They have 2 county jails that are so big, and it was off the chain. And in that moment, it was kind of like, oh crap. I'm like, this is real. I turned around. I saw my wife and my sister and my brother-in-law and my other sister, and it was kind of like, bye. And they hauled me out. I didn't get to go hug my wife. It was like, you're going to jail for 6 months in Florida. And it was pretty unreal. It was the worst 6 months of my life, but I tell people I wouldn't change it for anything, because that I served 4.5 months of the 6. I tell people that 4.5 months helped form me into what I am now. Right? That 4.5 months was terrifying, was horrible. Never wish it on anybody, but it was something that helped God took that time to break me down and remold me into the man that I was supposed to be. It was absolutely terrifying. Tampa's off the chain. It's crazy.
Is that when you got your prison tat?
Yeah. I've got those. I got the mom with the arrow through.
Nice.
It's funny. There were guys like, listen, even in, what was that? What is this? 2023. That was 2015. I think I went December 12th, 2015. I think it was when I got sentenced. There were still guys in there that would talk about they were going to the rec yard to use ink pens and new tattoos. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, it's 2000. What are we doing?
Let's grow up.
Yeah, there were guys in my pods that would get kicked out because they could smuggle cigarettes in. And I'm like, just wait. Like, I'm with guys that are in here less than a year. Like, one guy had a month left and he's still trying to smuggle cigarettes in. It was funny to me. There were things that were humorous, but it was definitely a terrifying time. And I got out of jail. I got released 4.5 months early. I was thankfully able to work in jail every 6 days I worked. I got a day off my sentence.
Were you in the kitchen?
I was in the kitchen.
Ooh.
I got kicked out of the kitchen.
Oh.
How am I doing? I can't go into those details, but let's just say some of the stuff you see in movies about like inmates and guards is real.
Oh,
Sketchy business. And again, honesty sometimes doesn't always work. And then you get kicked off your job. That's really good. It's 7 days a week and you get a crappy job. But it was an experience that, again, I would never take back. It was something that I needed. And then I got out of jail and I came home, and I was home for a month, and then the FBI called the dealership looking for me. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, one of the ladies at the office said that Ruben Hernandez got called the store. And I'm like, man, this guy really wants to buy a car. He's called 3 times.
Wait, I think I zoned out. So
sorry.
You went to jail. No, I think I missed something. So you went to jail, you came back, and then they called.
4.5 months.
And then they came to the dealership.
So 4.5 months I came out. And
I thought you said you were at the dealership, and they came and got you. Then you went to jail.
Yeah. So
dealership.
2013 we moved back.
Yeah.
Florida sent the Ohio Attorney General to come interview me.
Yeah.
That led to the Florida case, which I got sentenced to 6 months.
Okay.
I get out April something, 2016, I think. I come home. I'm back home. I'm working at Wilmington Auto Center. I took a couple weeks off, when I first got home. I went to Wilmington Auto Center, and I'm selling cars one day. And Rachel in the office, I think it was Rachel, said, hey, this Ruben Hernandez, he's called like 2 times already, and he's on hold. I'm like, man, this guy wants to buy a car. And I'm home. I'm home from jail. This is behind me. I'm so thankful. And I answered the phone. This is Clinton with Wilmington Auto Center. How can I help you? Clinton, this is Ruben Hernandez with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And I'm like, oh, it's great to talk to you. Give me a second. And I put him on hold and was like, well, this is awesome. And I remember shutting the door to the office I was in and answering the phone call. And he said, hey, we understand you just got released a month ago, and but we're investigating other crimes separate from that, but tied to it. So unfortunately, during my timeshare life, I started with one entity, which led me to meet another person that led me to the darkest part of the timeshare world, or the darkest part of my criminal life, right? That one person was already a convicted felon. That one person had served time in federal prison in the 90s for scamming people in Taiwan to build a fake theme park in Florida. Things that, I didn't know. And that was a person that kind of took me under his wing in the end of my criminal life, right? So that opened up a new case that, even though it was the same crime, it's a separate entity. So they could try me for it, even though I'd already been punished for my timeshare crimes. It was a separate entity, like a different fake company. So then the Federal Bureau of Investigation was involved.
Did you feel your stomach drop?
Yeah, like literally I was sitting there, I'm just like, oh no. So my first thought was, I'm going to be punished. And I struggled a lot at that point. I prayed a lot, and I'm like, man, look, I've given my life to God. I thought I was done with this, and now I got to relive it. And that opened up a 3-4 year life of going back and forth with the feds, going to Las Vegas, which is where it had to be out of. It had to be, I got the paper, the United States of America versus Clinton Becker. And I'm like, what the crap? Yeah, I was a good person up until that. The worst thing I'd ever done before timeshare fraud was a speeding ticket, right?
And those cows, man.
Yeah, and the cows. I did torment the cows. We didn't tip them. I don't think you can really do that. But so this started a long life of dealing with the federal government. In the middle of that case, Justin, my lawyer, passed away, unfortunately. So I was assigned, her name is Yulin, was assigned a public defender in Las Vegas. And Yulin ended up being an amazing woman that was assigned to me. And my whole thought was, oh my gosh, I'm getting a public defender. I'm screwed, right? TV shows, that's what they tell you. Yulin was an amazing woman, and her law firm helped me. And the federal government saw me for who I was, who I was at the time, not who I used to be. And I was very honest with them. I did everything they wanted me to. I had to go back and forth to Las Vegas. I stayed in the
Did they pay for that?
Golden Nugget.
You
They paid for it.
Oh, nice.
So they paid for me to stay. They paid for my flights.
Oh, wow.
I got to stay in the Golden Nugget, which is the most amazing hotel. I loved it. It's not really that great, but so I went back and forth to Las Vegas a lot. And long story short, when it comes to federal guidelines, so we can move on,
This is very interesting. So
I've already
keep
been,
going.
I've already been convicted of a crime, a felony, right? So I'm already a convicted felon, which hurts me now because it's a federal case. And they look at your history and they go, oh, you're already a convicted felon. You automatically move up to the next tier of bad guy things. Cool. So now I'm already looking at a worse sentence because I'm a convicted felon, even though it's the same crime. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. So based off of federal guidelines and how many points I scored for my crimes and my past history of criminal activity, I was looking at, I think it was like 28 to 39 months in prison, federal prison. Like, cool. Cool. This is great. And my lawyer, you're going to jail. He's like, I'm sorry, no matter what. And then when Justin passed away and I had Yulin's like, Clinton, I need you to prepare yourself that you're going to prison. Like you don't get out of this now. Federal guidelines are federal guidelines. You fall within this many points. Let's hope that he reduces the points and you get the shorter term, but you're going to prison. I'm like, oh gosh, I can't handle this. I had a lot of breakdowns. I had a lot of ups and downs. I'm a person who struggles with anxiety and depression. So it even like fueled that. We had sentencing hearings that got canceled. One got canceled 3 days before we were supposed to fly out. So it was never knowing what was going to happen. I had good relationships with the federal government, the people that interviewed me, right? Like it was, again, they saw me for who I was and the life that I created, the things I'd already started doing in the community. So we finally got to go to federal sentencing, and it was the most intimidating thing ever. Just imagine a ginormous courtroom and then multiply it even more. And it's just you, federal probation officer, your lawyer. My wife was there, and the owner of Wilmington Auto Center, John Atkins, was there on behalf of me.
So no trial.
No trial.
Yeah.
And just a judge and a couple people typing. And I mean, I've never been so sweaty. I was like, I thought I was going to puke. And I remember going before the judge, and I had hundreds of letters from customers in the car business talking about my integrity. And I had the same thing with the Florida case, but with the federal case, we had even more. Hundreds of letters from people in the community that bought cars from me that were talking about my integrity and my values. People that knew me in my life and my church. And that was one thing that the judge said was he actually took the time to read them. And he was kind of impressed by that, because he made a joke that, car salesman with integrity. That's funny. So I kind of was like, okay, he's laughing. But he talked about how he went through those letters and read those letters, and he could see that I'm a different person. And then he went to let me know that he could destroy, take everything away from me that I'd worked so hard to create. And I was like, oh my gosh, and he'd throw up. And he talked and talked. And then he said that he doesn't just look at points and guidelines. He looks at the persons. And he looked at the federal probation officer, and he said, what do I have to do to get him on probation? And the federal probation officer stuttered. He's like, I don't know. Like, you can't. He goes, no, what do I have to do to get him on probation? And the guy was literally like, I don't know. You have to reduce it like 20 some points or something. Okay. 3 years federal probation. He reduced it like an astronomical amount of points and said that I would only have 3 years federal probation instead of 3 years federal prison. And I literally thought I was going to run up and hug him. And it was mind blowing. And, even when we left, my lawyer's like, that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Like, you just got probation. She was confused. And that was a major God thing, I think. I mean, I was bound and determined that I was going to leave that day, but then you have a certain day you have to report back to federal prison, right? They don't take you at that moment. But yeah, he gave me 3 years federal probation, and I got off federal probation early. Like, I was maybe on federal probation a little over a year, and they killed it for me, took it off. Mm-hmm. I'm still on probation with Florida. I had interstate probation for 10 years. Yeah, I check it every 6 months now. I'm an upstanding citizen, so they've never really had to worry about me. I do what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, I mean, that finally ended it. That ended the crazy life of the timeshare Clinton, which is crazy.
Timeshare.
Right? Like, I tell people, I'm like, man, it's a nutso story. Because before the timeshare thing, I did a lot of dumb stuff, right? I got kicked out. I dropped out of high school my junior year. I turned 18, thought I knew everything. And the young people listening, don't drop out. It's not worth it. I thought I knew everything. So I dropped out of high school, finally got my GED, went to college, let alcohol control me and consume me, and got kicked out of art college. I'm very passionate about. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with my life? Went to the military, went to the Navy, loved the Navy, had all kinds of medals and stuff. And then I got kicked out of the Navy again, because I let alcohol consume me. And, so I'm like, man, I'm striking out big time. But that was about the worst thing I'd done until the timeshare thing. So that was the cherry on top. But I'm a big believer that all those things in my life, I'd never change any of those, right? All those things, no matter how bad or dark they were, they led to who I am now, right? They helped mold me into who I needed to be. And I believe that until I was completely broken, that, I wasn't going to be able to change or reach the true potential God had for me.
One of the questions that I had was, after your felony and committing your life to God, to be honest, do you ever feel like you can't make a mistake, or like God and people have already forgiven you once, so that's all you got? Don't mess up again?
No, I think with God, no. I think that if you abuse that, I always tell people that grace is not people say this, grace is not a license to sin, right? Like, it's just not, I can't just keep doing bad. Oh, sorry, God, right? Like, I believe that he has never-ending forgiveness, but it's also, I believe, if I'm intentionally going out and just doing stupid stuff. As far as other people, ask that question again.
So do you feel like that was such a big thing? Do you feel like you can't mess up to other people, like they wouldn't forgive you if you messed up again?
Some people, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people in my circle or my family realize that we're all human. We make mistakes. And I think that I've done a good job of making sure the people in my circle or in my life are those that don't have that mindset.
Yeah.
I don't have that mindset.
I think you mentioned that beginning of the podcast about people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to have that mindset, right? Like, I want to have an open mind. Now, if I have somebody, in my life, it's just, you can tell they're just consistently, intentionally doing things, and that's a little different. But no, I think that for the most part, I know I'm going to mess up, but I try to do the best, the best that I can, so that I don't encounter those kind of situations.
So with your car salesman business,
and
time there, what set you apart from other car salesmen that made you so successful?
So when I first started, I found a lot of people when I was a manager. I went from sales to general sales manager in 2017 when Wilmington Auto Center bought out the Chrysler Dodge franchise from Bill Marine. And I became a manager by chance. It wasn't planned. It was like, hey, we let this guy go. You're going to be the manager now. I was like, oh, sweet. During that time, I met a lot of people in the business. One, Sean Hayes, which he started kind of a movement in 2017 with salespeople across the country that you can be a relational salesperson, right? You can work off a repeat and referral business and sell cars differently and change people's perspective. So I bought into that big time. I was like, okay, so you're telling me that I can run my own business within the dealership and I don't have to spend 2 hours convincing people I'm not a dirtbag and my life will be easier and I'll sell more cars. So I bought into that big time.
So it's like your own brand.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy, Sean Hayes, who's now a general manager of dealerships in Virginia, was in Florida. And he was Sean Hayes, your car guy. That was his brand. He did Facebook Live every morning. And he worked like only off of repeat referrals, the same people, right? His network of people that were like, I'm only going to work with Sean and I'm going to tell everybody that I know they have to go to Sean. And he'd sell 30 cars a month, which the average car salesman still to this day sells like 8 to 10 cars a month. And I'm going, these guys are selling 30 cars a month. That's crazy. So as a manager, I tried to teach my guys about branding. Some take it, some don't, right? It's like anything in life. Salespeople are the worst about follow through. They'll try something for like a day and then they're like, that didn't work. I had to learn, because I was guilty of that. As a manager, I learned about consistency because I wasn't a salesperson. I saw what these other guys were doing and I'm like, man, you can't, just like social media. When I first started social media, I was like, that post only got 2 likes. I'm deleting it. And I would delete a post.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going, and now I've come to the realization, no, that post that I post today may not do good, but guess what? 6 months from now, it could blow up and get traction and come back to me. So I quit focusing on those kind of things. But yeah, I mean, as a manager, it led me to brand myself. And towards the end of being a manager, I realized that I wanted to go back to sales, and the Honest Car Guy brand was born. And I remember going to John, the owner of Wilmington Auto, and I was like, the brand's the honest car guy. Oh man, aren't you afraid that because you're calling yourself the honest car guy, people might think you're not honest? True. But my big thing with my past when I got saved was I was going to be honest moving forward no matter what. And it kind of made sense. And car salesmen rate lower than politicians, right? They're typically thought of as liars. So it kind of was an oxymoron that worked. The honest car guy was born. I went back to sales, and right off the rip, February 2019 was my first month back in sales. And I think I sold 30 plus cars, all off of mostly self-generated. Now, for the longest time, I still took leads from the dealership, right? If somebody walked in and didn't have somebody, I would help them. Internet leads, I still help them. Now I'm fully self-generated. So
those leads don't come to you anymore?
No, I don't get anything from the internet, anything from the dealership. My best month ever was 64 cars. We sold 64 cars in February, which was crazy.
Wasn't inventory of cars down after COVID a lot?
Yeah. Still blowing through them. It was nuts. I had an assistant, at the height of my business booming in Wilmington. I had the yard signs, the honest yard signs. My mentor, Jonathan Dawson, one day said, why is nobody done yard signs? People put politicians' yard signs out. Politicians are hated. And I'm like, I'm doing it. So I ordered a bunch of yard signs, and those took off. I had people calling me going, I saw your yard sign. And I'm like, cool. Carol, that owns the fabric cotton junkie right here. Yeah. She's one of my customers. She used to have a yard sign, but somebody kept stealing it. Somebody just gave up. We had flat Clintons. It was a giant cutout of me, cardboard cutout. It was like 6 feet tall with a QR code. You could scan it, take it to my website. We had that.
Where were those at?
We had one inside Walmart at We're Rolling Pretzel Company. We had them at Roscoe's Pizza in Corwin, LA Tan. We had them all over. We had one in B-Dubs. Some drunk college kids punched my face off, which I found more funny.
So how could Make Shark get Flat Clinton?
Listen, yes, I need to bring Flat Clinton back. My biggest accomplishment, building my brand, because I tell people that, and this is what I've learned from people like Jonathan Dawson, one of my mentors in the car business, is to create raving fan advocates, right? There's a difference between having a raving fan and a raving fan advocate, right? An advocate, somebody, it's like, no, Mom, you are not buying a car from anybody other than the Clinton, or I will disown you, right? That's what I wanted.
Wow. Yeah.
I wanted that. And it got to the point where people joked and said I have like a crazy cult following. Mm-hmm. 5 of my customers got my logo tattooed on them.
I was going to ask you about, are you serious about that?
Yeah, that's serious.
Did you give them a discount?
Is your logo just your face?
It's my car logo is like a car, and it's okay. It says Clinton Becker, the honest car guy.
That's a bit extreme.
So it started off, my buddy Jay Rustin Holtz up in Michigan. He's a sales manager now. He is the carrying car guy. And he's probably one of the most caring people I've ever met in my life. And that was his brand in Michigan. And he got some customers to do this. And I'm like, that's next level. I've got yard signs, and I've got customers that have done crazy stuff for me. Tattoo. So Jonathan Dawson tagged me one day in a post. He's like, Clinton, are you really going to be a relational salesman, or are you going to fake it? And I was like, oh gosh. So I put a post out there and said, who's doing it? Who's getting an honest car guy tattoo? And 5 people did. Wow. And so it was crazy, but that's what relational selling does, right? Like, it's not about, my goal was to help and serve people, and it still is, even in the food truck business. In the car business, yes, I love selling, and I have a salesman mentality. So I always want to be the best. I want to be the top salesman. I want to sell the most cars. But for me, it was changing people's perspective of the car business, right? Getting rid of that negative stigma that buying a car has to suck. And that was one of my mottos, is car buying does not have to suck. Mm-hmm. It should be easy. It can be transparent. It can be honest at every time. And that's one of the reasons I'm back at Wilmington Auto, even though I'm part-time, is their whole philosophy of that dealership is that mentality. And that's something that I've always aligned with. Yeah, but the Honest Car Guy brand was nuts. Like I said, my best month was 64. I think my best day was 10. Sold 10 in 8 hours, and was still able to make it to my kid's birthday party. And that was with the help of a whole team. I had an assistant at the time. I had a well-oiled machine that I could, work 4 days a week and still sell 50 cars a month. And even now, I went in Saturday morning, sold 2 cars. Yesterday I went in, I sold 2 cars. Third one that's going today. And it's all off repeat referral, just word of mouth.
Speaking of sales, so it sounds like you've always been in sales. My background is in graphic design. I had like a sales job one time in my life after college, and I feel like it changed my life. It opened I feel like that job, like cold calling people, was what allowed me to be a business owner. Mm-hmm. So do you recommend that young people take at least one sales job in their life?
100%. I think especially nowadays more than anything, we're in a world of social media where I don't, I'm still all about interacting with people. So many people don't. There's so many work at home jobs since COVID. So many people that are disconnected. Their relationships are so virtual. And I think it does, like cold calling, that's hardcore, right? Like I tell people, you want to learn how to be a people person and sell, door to door for cold calling. You're just randomly calling a person going, hi, you don't want to talk to me. How can I help you?
You want the script?
And they can hang up on you, right? Like it's the power of your voice. So yeah, I mean, sales, I fell into an accident. I bounced from job to job. I worked factories. I worked at Timber Tech. Well, I worked at UPS, stocking trucks at like 3 a.m. Wilmington Auto was a lot porter, right? A lot porter back in the day was you clean the lot, you wash cars, you grunt. And they were hiring. I got it as a second job. And one day a salesman was let go. And I was like, I can sell cars. And they said, go change. I came back, sold a little old lady a Hyundai Elantra, and that was it.
Nice.
And that was kind of the birth of something that I knew how to talk. Mm-hmm. And then even for me, I wasn't the negative stigmas within the car business weren't ingrained in me because Wilmington Auto has always been different, right? Different mentality. So for me, even at that young age in 2007, it was about helping people, not what most big dealerships are driven towards, which is literally just, you're a number. I don't really give a crap about you. I just want to sell you whatever will make me the most money. For me, it's, I want you to find the right car. And if that's not the right car, then I'm not going to sell it to you. I mean, I've turned people away because it wasn't the right deal. I've told young people, I'm not going to sell you this car because that payment's too high and I don't want to see you lose it in 6 months. I want you to build your credit and be successful. So yeah, sales is something that I think teaches a lot of valuable lessons.
So let's get into the food truck.
Yeah, food truck.
All right.
The greatest thing ever.
So I don't think you talked about on the podcast. When did you start the food truck?
So I started the food truck. I want to say we officially launched it in June, and it was really hot. June-ish.
So the context was you quit the car lot for a minute?
I left Wilmington Auto in January of 2023. We were supposed to relocate my entire family to Stanton, Virginia. I went to Stanton. I love Stanton, Scott Simon's, all people, the CMA dealerships. And after about 2 weeks, I realized this is not home. Wilmington is my home.
So you went there by yourself for 2 weeks?
Yeah, my family was here. They were going to move after school ended. So I was going to spend about 5 months down there without them. I made it 2 weeks and was like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I can't do this. It's just not right. Like, I felt like if some people were like, you didn't give it long enough. I said, no, I knew. Like, Wilmington's my home. Some people were like, that's crazy. Wilmington. I love Wilmington. I love Clinton County. It's my home. So I came back and I'd been recruited by a dealership in Chillicothe for a long time, like 3 years. They were trying to get me. So we worked it out and I went and worked in Chillicothe for about 8 months, driving an hour every day there and every day back. It was horrible driving, but I started to fall out of love with the business, right? I'd been in the car business for 17 years. Building my Honest Car Guy brand from 2019 to 2023 was a lot, right? Averaging 50 cars a month is a lot. When the average salesman sells 8 to 10, it was 24/7, nonstop, always working, always on my phone, always grinding. And I slowly got burnt out. I was starting to fall out of love with the car business. So I've always made smash burgers. I've always made them home. You can go back right 3-4 years on Facebook and you'll see I'm making them at home. You know, from the time I first got a Blackstone and found out what a smash burger was, and the first time I had one, I went, these are amazing. So I always joked about a food truck. And when I did all the fundraisers in Wilmington, like the Holden Strong and the Morgan Strong and doing all those food truck fundraisers, I met a lot of cool people in the food truck industry. One of which I give Logan a shout out was Steak It Easy. It's a fantastic food truck. I talked to Logan and said, hey man, I think I'm going to do this like part-time, like as a hobby. So we bought the trailer, got it up and running and started running it as a hobby. And I was still selling cars in Chillicothe.
This was you and him or just you?
Just me.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah. I just was getting advice from Logan. Mm-hmm. And I mean, right off the bat, it took off. The people in Wilmington have supported me so much. So it's almost like that Honest Car Guy brand exploded in a sense to where people believe in me so much and support me so much that even my food. Now, thankfully, the food's good because if the food sucked, they probably wouldn't still come.
Yeah.
So I tell people, I said, at least I know my family didn't lie to me. The burgers must be good because people keep buying them. So we started it as a hobby and immediately it blew up. Like the first time we did it, we set it for like 3 hours and we sold like 40 pounds of meat, like 150 burgers out of a tiny little trailer. And I'm like, man, this could like be full time. I could possibly do this full time. But then I kept allowing fear to kind of like, nah. So I talked with Logan and Logan's like, listen, at the end of the day, you just have to take a leap of faith. If you're going to do it, it's a leap of faith. I'm like, man, I got a bunch of kids. I got a lot of bills, right? I've been a successful salesperson for a long time. I could lose everything, right? So I finally decided one day I was at the dealership Chillicothe and I'm like, I don't love this anymore. And I'm going to do not only am I doing myself a disservice, but I'm doing the clients a disservice because people would call me wanting to buy a car. And I'm like, I don't even want to sell them a car. I don't even want to do this anymore. So I decided to just do the food truck full time, which was terrifying. My wife's like, oh my gosh, this is insane. But she still supported me. The same woman that stood by me the whole time I was a dirtbag in Florida, right? And I'm glad I did it. We started that 12-foot food truck full time, and it's blown up to the point where we literally outgrew that food truck in 3 or 4 months, which is nothing I ever expected, right?
So what are some of the challenges since leaving to starting the food truck?
Time management. I've never been in the food business.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things you have to make sure you do right, because you don't want to hit your hand on food. But I think a lot of it is time management, because I still have the mindset that I want to do a lot, right? I want to just do more than I probably can. A lot of it is trying to find the right balance, to make sure I'm giving the best product and best customer service, but also give people the best value when it comes to. But the food truck, like a lot of people don't realize, it's a food truck. It's not a brick and mortar. A lot of expenses are different. Things are different.
In a good way, or?
No, not really. Like, that's the cost. Food is so expensive right now. Like, that's a lot of it. But yeah, the food truck life I love it. I love it. And it's evolved into a 8.5 by 16-foot food truck. Both my oldest daughters are working for me full time now, which is awesome. I get to, be with them all day. Zoe, my 19-year-old's more vocal. She does not love the food truck, but she works hard. And now we've got Hannah, our oldest, and she's working full time. And so it's evolved into a family thing. Lexi, my 14-year-old, she'll help every once in a while. My son Devin, who's 11, he can't wait to help in the food truck. But right now the biggest challenge is trying to find the best balance, because I'm still wanting to sell cars part-time. By appointment only. Every Monday I'll be at the dealership, but now it's trying to find that proper balance. And we've got a pretty worked out schedule now. Tuesday through Friday, we work the food truck. Mondays I sell cars, try and dedicate Saturday and Sundays to the family. That's the struggle, is to iron that balance out and to make sure it can all work financially.
It's pretty cool that you're like new to the food truck scene, and you have the option, because of all the support the community's given you, to have the weekends off of your family.
Yeah. And that's been overwhelming in a sense. Like, we went to Blanchester a couple weeks ago on Saturday. We ran 5 hours, and Blanchester gave us our 3rd best day in sales that we've had. And, I think that speaks volumes of my daughter's hard work, the food that we're producing, our customer service, and just the amazing loyalty of people, right? Like, when I started the Honest Car Guy brand, it was honestly to see, okay, I know people selling 100 cars a month. That's my goal. Can I accomplish that in a small community? But also just saying, okay, when you put your mind to something, you can do it. I try to tell people all the time, don't allow fear to control you. I'm 41 years old, and I just left my career 17 years to run a food truck. You know how stupid that sounds? With
It was the margins would be very different too.
What is it?
The margins would be very different.
Yeah, very different. Everything, like, at first it was like the first couple of weeks, I was like, oh gosh, what did I do? What did I do? Like, this was a horrible idea. Now there's new challenges. Every day there's new challenges, but now we've just expanded the menu, right? Like, at first I was like, I'm only doing burgers, and my wife makes these amazing wicked beans. That's all we're going to do. And then I'm like, I'm going to do hand cut fries. No, I'm not going to do hand. Now we have hand cut fries. We just launched 3 new sides that are deep fried, and I love it. But I have a lot of people that help us, a lot of support. I have messages from people all the time saying, hey, if you ever need help with food truck, I'll help you. And these are people that I believe really follow through with that. People that I've met through the car business, people that I've met through honesty and transparency. And a lot of these relationships were made just by being honest and transparent. People I didn't even sell cars to, but I've created strong relationships with. So,
what is the demographic of people that you serve? Like, meaning what's the best, demographic, but also like what's the best areas, locations that you found for your truck?
So Wilmington is, I think, by far still the best.
Wilmington is like, but what specific, I guess, like
as far as the location?
Yeah, like Dot Church.
Yeah.
Like what's your best?
We've been setting up at Rent-A-Center a lot. And I think a lot of people know, again, on Facebook, the struggles I'm having with people that own the property are not from here. They're in Florida. Mm-hmm. I think eventually they're going to say I can't be there, even though Rent-A-Center says I can. And I don't want to get involved in all these lease agreement bullcrap. And I've wanted to set up a Dove. I want to give a shout out to Smokin' Johnson's barbecue truck. They're fairly new, right? Same thing. Austin and his dad run that. Kind of the same thing. He just started it spontaneously, and they're popular. They're a good truck. We love their food. And we've set up a couple places with Smokin' Johnson's. And recently at the Honda plant where they're building the LG batteries, we serve lunch to them on Thursdays. And we were out there with Smokin' Johnson's. And we've talked before about maybe getting together and start like a food truck rally in the summer in Wilmington, like Xenia does. And me and Austin were talking, and it was like, look, there's enough people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's over 12,000 people in Wilmington.
Uh-huh.
There's enough people that you can have 2 food trucks side by side and be successful and not be competition. Like, I don't want to have that mentality like it's us against them. So we talked, and I told him, I said, hey, would you care if I ever set up at Dove? And they're like, no, please. They're normally there on Mondays. And if they need to switch their days because of the weather, I'm like, by all means, I don't care if we're there together. Right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people for all of us. So yeah, today was our first day setting up at Dove, and golly, this morning with the rain, like I honestly thought we were going to be dead. Mm-hmm. It was insane. Like you came and got some food, and it was
pretty crowded. Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't stop from 11 until I left. We had probably 8 orders at all times in the queue. We'd already done like 3 or 4 DoorDash orders. So Wilmington in a whole, Southridge area, we set up there once. It wasn't as busy, but I think that's because a lot of people forget about Southridge. There's not much out there.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, Bob and Carl's was out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there now.
It's a shame the drive-in isn't here anymore. You could have moved banged at the drive-in.
We set up at Adventure Cove a couple times.
Okay.
Love Adventure Cove. It's right there on the outskirts, and everybody forgets about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, right there, Dove. Dove is, Tuesdays and Wednesdays we'll be there. It's a nice flat property, and it's right on the main round back, which is what I love. And then New Vienna, Sabina, and Manchester. Those little towns do us well. The first time we went to New Vienna, we sold out like crazy quick, which I did not expect. So New Vienna, Sabina, and Blanchester, we try to go there once a month on Thursdays. So
that's awesome.
Dinner to them, because those little communities don't have much.
Right.
And man, they show us a lot of love. And that's the thing, is I want to try and keep it. We'll still do events, and we've got stuff scheduled, and we'll go to Vandalia, Amazon on Fridays. But my main priority is my hometown. Like starting next week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we're going to be open from 9 to 7, doing breakfast in the morning also. We have a breakfast menu that we sample multiple times, and people liked it. So I want to offer that back to the community, give another option.
Is it like sausage mashed?
No. I thought about trying that, but I don't know if you can. So they're just breakfast sandwiches, sausage, egg, bacon, hash browns covered in cheese. They're really good. Yeah. Shredded hash browns, put cheese on them, melt them. Mm-hmm. And then I've added more work for myself, but I can't help it. We've added like a normal menu. So you get 2 fried eggs or scrambled eggs with bacon, sausage, hash browns, so like a meal. Combo meals, yeah. Exactly. So we're trying to add more in the breakfast aspect. It'll just be me working it for an hour and 45 minutes we're serving breakfast, but I'm excited about it. Anything with this food truck excites me. It's the hardest job I've ever done.
Because you're doing the sales and the delivery at this point. Yeah,
you're doing. I mean, it's just the prep work. That's what a lot of people don't realize. If you work 11 to 7 at a job, you work 11 to 7. With the food truck, I've got to start 2.5 hours early.
We got a taste of that doing the corn festival. It was horrible.
Oh, I heard you guys did the corn festival.
It was horrible.
Like, I'm willing to take my food truck to the corn festival. People were like, "You're going to the fair?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. I'm not committing to 5 days, open to close."
Horrible.
I run this. I own this. I want to call the shots, and I can't. Yeah. I can't commit to wanting to do. I'd probably get in the day 2 and be like, "Yeah, we're pulling out. We're done. It's too crazy."
It's a lot.
Do you have like a Rise and Shine burger?
What would that be?
So it's like a smash burger, and then it would have hash browns and fried egg and bacon.
We've got the barnyard that we serve on our normal menu, and it's a double smash burger, lettuce, tomato, bacon, and a fried egg, and our special Becker's burger sauce, and it's real good. That's a real popular one.
What are some of your most popular menu items?
Mushroom and onion burger, and the Western barbecue is like every week after week, the mushroom and onion.
An elevated rodeo burger?
Yeah, so the Western is 2 patties, American cheese, crispy onions, barbecue, and bacon. And people love it. But the mushroom and onion is by far and with the sauce, when we first started sampling them, which was one of the best parts of the job, is to get to sample everything. We made the mushroom and onion. I don't like mushrooms, but I sampled it, and it was like dry. Like, what's going on? So we decided to make our own sauce, which is really simple. It's a mayo A1 mix. Some people are like, "Oh, I don't like A1. It's not a lot of A1, but it literally mixing mayo and A1 is the most magical sauce ever. And I think that's what makes the mushroom and onion burger so good. Like, it's exceptional. And that's one thing we try to do with our burgers, Yeah, we sell $12, $13, $14 burgers. Honestly, I'm not really surprised now, but at first I was surprised at how few people said anything about the price. Once in a while you get somebody that might be like 80 years old and be like, $10 for a burger.
Back in my day.
Yeah, they'll be like, $10 for a burger. But I've only had one person leave and not buy. Like, some of them, I had one lady who told me the prices were stupid, but she was told to try it, and she is a consistent customer. Nice. But like the mushroom, we try to pile on tons of toppings. Like, we try not to skimp on the toppings or the sauce. I'm a big believer in what I post on Facebook. Those are typically we make a sandwich for somebody, I snap a picture and we serve it. What I post is what you get. Because, man, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to name any places, but I hate going places. And I'm like, why can't it be like your commercial? But it never is. So that's the one thing I want to try and do is give people more than what they expect when it comes to the food.
It seems like wherever you are, you're pretty popular. We saw you at the CMH one time.
Yeah.
A lot of nurses and stuff were coming out to get a smash burger.
And that's Clinton Memorial Hospital. We've got 2 more bookings already scheduled in the next month and a half. They have us come out quite often. I love their staff. They're super friendly, and it gives them another option outside the cafeteria food. But that's one thing I'm excited about is the demand. We have more local businesses reach out. Dealer Track. We're excited to be going back to Dealer Track. We went out there several times during the nicer weather. We've had a lot of businesses reach out. Recently, I've got people reaching out about graduations now because I want to expand that. graduations, church events, weddings. I mean, that's why I reach out about weddings. My wife's like, they want burgers? I'm like, hey, if they want smash burgers, let's get them smashed.
Listen, I've seen people cater Taco Bell at the weddings.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That is
Who do you hang out with?
Taco
The
Bell.
TikTok, Justin, get on it.
Taco
Yikes.
Bell. I love it.
Wow. So next question is the sizzle worth the smash? Is smash burgers a profitable business?
It is. It is. I'm excited to see where it goes, but it is. We're able to continue and to maintain, and like anything, we're for profit. I tell people, I say that. I mean, it's a business. You got to make money, but it is far more than I expected, right? It was supposed to be a hobby. And I'm just thankful to all the people that continue to support us, enjoy our food, because that's really what it boils down for them, but to continue to support us and let us be profitable so we can keep doing it. Because now that I'm doing it, I love it. Like people ask me all the time, what's in the future? Are you going to do a restaurant? Do this, do this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I want a restaurant? No. You know what I told somebody the other day? Happy Walk. I went into Happy Walk for my wife the other day, got her food. I love that little location. Like imagine Becker SMASH-tastic Burgers in a little corner like that.
Yeah.
Grab and go burger spot, and then still have the food trucks to run for events. That would be awesome. But I'm excited to see like a year from now. I'd love to have like 3 or 4 Becker SMASH-tastic burger trucks that are just all over, right? Like I can serve places like Hillsborough consistently, or, just start to just cover more areas and get that out there more. Cause, I think we've got a pretty good product that people like, but yeah, it's profitable. It's thankfully.
So like double down. So like double down on the food truck as opposed to branching off into a brick and mortar, which is totally different and new. Yeah.
From what I understand, and I've had several people, even local in the community, that are super successful and say, just keep doing the food truck. You have less overhead. I've never done a restaurant. I worked at Long John Silver's for a whole 3 months when I was 18 years old after I dropped out of high school, right? I worked the drive-through window and don't really remember much about it. So I don't really know much about the brick and mortar. Would it be easier in certain areas? Probably, right? Because for me, I'm 41 years old. The food truck's done multiple things. It's made me less stressed, even though it's more work, but it's let me find out that I've got arthritis. I've got tendonitis in both wrists now. I've got inflammation in my hips.
Nice.
Which is painful because I've got to set the truck up. I got to break it down. I got to get propane. I got to clean it. A restaurant is different in the aspect of it's stationary.
Sure.
When you get done, like every night, I've got to let the oil cool. There's times we get done at 7. I don't leave till 9. Got to drain the deep fryer. I've got to clean the grease. I want to clean everything up. So the next morning it's a little bit easier. So the brick and mortar would have positives. And trust me, there's multiple times that I sit and think, man, how sweet would it be to have brick and mortar Becker SMASH-tastic Burgers in my hometown where people could come inside and dine and be out of the weather. Cause I think that could be super successful, but there's probably a whole lot of new challenges that I'd have to dig into.
Would you ever go on like competitive food television?
Oh, I'd love to.
He gets it
all day. Listen, I love Gordon Ramsay. Gordon, if you hear
you had to bring back your tips though.
I should get
blonde tips.
You got to go on Guys Grocery Games.
Tagged guy. People have tagged Gordon Ramsay. Like, come. So I would love to have Becker SMASH-tastic Burgers hit those kind of heights where people see it and want to come visit it, or it gets known as far as like, oh, you got to try these burgers. We're going to have a burger challenge that I hinted about. A lot of people said they can take it on. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of food. It's like 8 patties and like a whole order of cheese curds on a burger. I mean, it's going to be a monster burger to do a food challenge, hoping that that'll help expand who knows about our burgers.
Tag competitive eaters in it.
I need to. Yeah, I've had everybody, like, we had probably 30 comments like, oh, I'll be able to take that down in no time. I'm like, I don't know, man. There's 2 pounds of fries along with that giant sandwich. It's a lot of food.
Well, watch competitive eating. It's pretty.
Some of them are nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are nuts. But yeah, I would love to see it reach things like that. I would love to see it grow into, what started as a hobby, I believe, could become so much more. And that's exciting for me. And plus the potential to see it grow and possibly create job opportunities for other people, not just my kids. Like I would love to see it grow into, I know in these groups I'm in, I mean, I've got some of these food truck people that, one guy, they've been doing 5 years, they've got like 6 trucks, right? That run all over. And, that gives other people jobs, but it's, if you're passionate about it, I am, then I can't wait to see where it grows to. Next is probably a 24-foot truck.
Just a bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
This is semi smash burger.
Keep going. Oh no, my neighbor was like, how many more do you get? Yeah, I was going to go with the 20-footer. We went with the 16 and now I'm going with the 20-footer.
Yeah.
You
have a lot of people on a little truck. I mean, it's a pretty big truck. You have like 4 people in there.
Yeah. Did you ever see our smaller one?
No.
Oh Lord. It was 7 by 12 with only 6.5 foot tall ceilings. I could have fitted inside this black trailer and have room to move around.
Wow.
And it was me, my wife, and my daughter in that 12-foot trailer. I mean, I don't know how many times I almost knocked my daughter down. I mean, we were just like running into each other. It was brutal.
Huh.
It was tough.
What you could do if you bought a building is have an Airbnb up top. So it covers the cost.
Oh my God. No, that's
what Papsy's does. I think that's what Brad Hayes does at Kava House. That's what I'm going to do.
That's a genius idea.
Just quietly talk to the people that own where Crystal's Diner used to be, or would have been.
Yeah, well, I thought they're still doing it.
I think that's the way of like making local brick and mortars accessible these days. Is like have that extra income.
Yeah.
To cover the cost, to compete with a bigger chains, who can like sell things a lot less. Anyways,
that's a great idea.
So in the podcast. So what
I have an idea.
Yeah.
My wife, don't divorce me.
Oh my God.
I think
don't sign the papers.
Timeshare Clinton.
Yeah. She's a champion because I tell people, I say,
wow.
People are like, I don't know how you deal with Clinton. I'm like, listen, you know Clinton. Like, you didn't know when she dealt with Dirtbag Clinton. Like, it was every day. Like,
what a woman.
What stupid thing.
Give her a shout out.
Rose is amazing. She is.
So when I think of food trucks, specifically in Wilmington, I sometimes think of sketchy people who set up those like flag shops or those tool sales on Ronback. Is there some stigma against like food trucks in Wilmington that you got to overcome with certain people?
I don't know in Wilmington, but I think in general, because I've had a lot of people make comments are like, man, your truck's and trailer is really nice. Like they would say that about my little trailer. And I was like, my little trailer is not nice. I think there was a stigma in general with just maybe sanitation, maybe product quality. I've been to some food trucks that I've kind of been like, I don't really want to order it.
Just keep it. I'm good.
Be rude, but
walk away.
I don't feel like they have
before.
good hygiene, right? And that's, to me, I've always been that kind of person where I'm like, it's food. I want somebody that's handling it to be sanitary. I think that's a normal thing. But no, I don't think I've had, so I'm an anomaly, if that's the right word.
Mm-hmm.
My Honest Car Guy brand helped me accomplish what I think is not normal. So I think even if there are those stigmas, I've avoided those in a sense.
Yeah.
I've told some food truck people the sales will do, like we'll set up during the day, like running 11 to 7 and they're like, man, we're dead. And I'm like, man, this is what we did. And so the groups are like, the crap. And I have to tell them, I said, a lot of it is the branding I did. I put myself out there fully. And a lot of it, really what it always boiled down to was, I believe in you, do expecting nothing in return, put an environment to you. And when my mindset shifted and I started the Honest Car Guy brand, I did a lot of things within the community and a lot of things that were not to elevate myself or to benefit myself, but just to do. I spent 80% of my life doing a dirtbag and taking from people. I said all I cared about was pleasing myself. So when my mindset shifted and I made it about other people, then the good things came back to me. So even if there was those stigmas, I've kind of avoided them because of that presence I created and that following. Again, the burgers are obviously good or people wouldn't keep coming back, but that's helped me avoid those things. There's stigmas with food truck stuff. I mean,
you have something to say?
I do. I have
go for it. Go for it.
So
ladies first.
2023, like the summer specifically, seemed to be like the food truck boom of Wilmington. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there were no food trucks, and then there was you, for the love of grub,
Yep.
Smoking Johnson's.
There's a Mexican one.
Yeah, the taco place.
Yeah. So, and listen, I'm going to give a shout out to Chris Walls. I love Chris Walls. Chris Walls and I have always had a fun relationship. When there was a flat Clinton, he always made fun of it. He'd be like, "Oh, I got to see this idiot everywhere." So, and I have respect for Chris Walls. Chris Walls has, I believe he does for others, not expecting stuff for himself. And he's got a big presence in the community. And when I started the Smash Burger truck, you wouldn't believe how many people messaged me going, "Oh, when are you going to have a cook-off? Oh, you're copying them," or vice versa. Listen, that's crap, right? There's 12,000 people in here. I don't care if 2 more people started a Smash Burger truck. But it is, as you said, crazy. Because all of a sudden it was like I was planning to do this, and then I saw Chris posted he was doing it. I thought it was cool. And then all of a sudden, Smoking Johnson's popped up. And then one day I was driving and I saw the Mexican food truck. I'm like, where did that come from?
There's one in Ivan's.
Ivan's is all over the place.
Yeah, I swear I never saw a food truck in Clinton County.
Since I started the food truck, I've had over a dozen people message me and go, "I'm going to start a food truck like you did." And I would have to say, "Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. I started this not very educated. It was literally like, I want to do this. I'm burnt out in the car business. I'm just going to do it." And I bought a trailer as a hobby that was not the right trailer. I rushed into it. I spent more money than I should have. I got into this not knowing how much it was going to cost. Equipment is stupid. It's so expensive. So I try to tell people, look, just if you really want to do it, really research into it. Go work somebody's food truck that's really busy. Because there are times when that thing gets busy that my head spins. I mean, there are times you get rushes and it doesn't stop. The other day we set up last Wednesday. And we had 4 hours. We didn't stop. We've had times where we had 20, 30 people online just in Wilmington. We're not in an event. That's common for an event. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about we just set up in Wilmington and we can't keep up. So it makes my mind go crazy. But yeah, I mean, it is nuts 2023. And I see more and more people on Facebook. Like somebody that I know the other day was like, "I'm going to get a food truck. I want to do it." And I'm like, I think it's like anything. There's people see it. There's like not fads.
And then you tell them your story about how you went to prison, and they're like, "Oh, the muscle Clinton.
Yes.
Come get me."
I have burger.
Yeah.
Burger.
Oh my gosh. Rose, when you hear that, she hates that too.
Your prison pads, yeah.
Oh, I could.
Dare you to make another food truck in Wilmington?
I'm gonna have to do fake ones.
You have
these fake ones and post it as
for sure.
Your cover
back my cover photo.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing that.
We'll just get some rings and just smash them into the burger.
So we're gonna do.
Brass knuckles.
Listen,
brass knuckles.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna buy one of the brands for top of the bun. It's another cost. It's another cost and another step.
But it's a nice little touch. It's a nice touch. Yeah.
And that's something with using those brioche buns. I love those buns.
Mm-hmm.
That would work really good. Right?
Yeah.
So it's little things for marketing. I love
sure.
social media. That's. I'm a big believer in social media. I always tell people that have any type of business, whether they sell Cincy or whatever, social media is a powerful tool. And that's what helped elevate my car business that led into the burger thing was when I figured out how, Facebook's pay to play, but you can use your own personal profile and you can do amazing things on Facebook if you're just patient.
But you didn't just do Facebook. You did the yard signs.
Yeah, I did the yard signs.
You did multiple.
Yeah, yard signs at a billboard. And
Yeah.
a billboard that when I was full time at Wilmington Auto. But I tell people all the time, social media, as long as you're not expecting results overnight, it took me a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And now it's to the point where I make money off Facebook, right? Facebook, I get paid by Facebook, which is crazy, right? Just for engagement. So now my wife's always going, "I'm going to go engage with your posts." Like, it works that way.
Mm-hmm.
But
now we'll send her to jail for being a con artist.
That's right. But
it's your time to serve.
The more you use social media and put yourself out there,
yeah,
people will engage with it.
They're looking for another billboard. The one above Dustin's?
Oh, yeah. Please take that one.
That billboard. Listen, that's what did it.
Well, it's not free, but it's open.
And that's why you're going to do my website.
There
that
we
billboard
go.
Did it, man.
There we go.
I was like, you know that guy. He makes websites.
I'm getting a new one. I'm getting a new billboard here soon. Anyways. Yeah, the iconic pose, crossing my arms.
Where he's leaned over at like a 20.
We were at the C4 Awards last year. And we interviewed Pat Haley, and he was talking to Emily, making fun of me doing my arms crossed, looking down pose. He's such a jokester, man.
I love that.
Love that guy.
That's great.
He's his dog.
Something that people know. Yeah, they make fun of you, but it's like,
for sure.
You're in their head. When they see somebody pose like that, they think of you. That's what it is. I tell people, tell them mind awareness, good or bad.
The Dustin.
The
Dustin.
All right. I'm going to do that.
All right. We got to move on. Okay. So working with your daughters.
Yeah.
Does that strain your relationship with them, or how have you prevented that? Or overcome challenges with that, I guess?
Yeah, I don't think so. So we've got a unique relationship, I think, in the aspect that working wise, like Zoe. Okay. So Zoe, my 19-year-old, Zoe's very vocal. Zoe's hilarious. Zoe does not like people. Like, she likes people, but she doesn't like people.
She'll get along with them. Like, this is great.
I'm going to take this one. Zoe works the window. She's the nicest person in the world. She'll get down to Yep. You'll learn that from your mom. That's your customer service voice. But Zoe's a hard worker, and she'll do what needs to be done. Does she vocalize it? Like, she still lives at home. She's like, I hate, Yeah, she does. But I know that I can count on her. Hannah's the same way. Hannah's a hard worker.
Yeah.
And when Hannah decided to do this full time, that was tough because they both worked at Kairos. I love Kairos. I'm huge fans of Robin and Larry all the way from the House of Prayer. That's when I first met Robin and Larry. When I moved here in 2013 and I was dealing with all my legal stuff, I went to the House of Prayer, met Robin. That was the first time I met Robin. So that was tough because I hated to see Hannah leave them, but it hasn't really strained the relationship. Now, like anything, I have to kind of go, okay, I am a boss, but I was the boss, right? As a parent, you're the boss.
Yeah.
So the benefit is I'm just like, clock in, you're not getting paid. But no, it's honestly not. I think it's made us closer. And it's just, and I posted something the other day, and it's not to get emotional, but it's been really awesome. And I look forward to Devin and Lexi. Like Lexi, my 14-year-old, she is something else. She is not excited about helping the food truck. She did help one day, and she did great. And I'm excited. Even, I told her, I said, you help a couple days a week, you make some money, whatever, but I'm excited for my other two kids to kind of come up with that. And even look in the future, I'm going, man, Willow, she's 3 now, but working with Willow, because it's created, I think, some sort of different bond between Hannah and Zoe and I. They may not feel that way, but yeah. But I think it's neat. It's neat to be able to, now that they're gone, like Hannah's gone, Hannah's married, she's been out of the house. Now I get to spend time with her still, which is kind of cool. But it's awesome. It helps me, like being able to be here today. Before that first 5 months of that food trailer, that was it. I was like, I am never going to do anything else in my life. And they helped me be able to break away from that. So, yeah.
Nice. We have a few more questions, so we're almost done. We're this much chunk here.
Fine.
This has been a very long podcast, but I think it's good stuff. It's very interesting to me anyways. So what keeps you passionate about Smash Burgers, and what's one of the most proud moments you've had on your Smash Burger journey so far?
So, ask the first part of the question because I zoned out.
Well, I think the real question is just what's one of your most proud moments so far in your new business journey? So we get a lot of people that are consistently telling us that the burgers are great, but I think it's when I get, and it's not just one proud moment, but it's several. We get a lot of older customers, right? And I'm 41. You have people that are over that 65, 70 range. A $14 burger, that's not normal, right? But I can't count how many times I've had what I consider older people tell me it's the best burger I've ever had in my life. We had one guy who's probably 70-some years old who left and came back. I think we were in Wilmington just to say, and I'm not going to use all the language he did. He was very excited that it was the best burger he's had in his entire life. He's like, and I've ate a lot of burgers because I'm a major burger fanatic. So that for me is awesome moments every time, because my goal is I want to serve the best possible product. I'm super passionate about the Smash Burger. I don't know why. I love taking pictures of them. Now that I get older, I used to work out and go to the gym. Now I'm like, ooh, I want to make pretty food and take pictures. And I'm learning that I have a love for food that I never realized I had. Yeah.
Like I watch Hell's Kitchen all the time now, and I'm like, ooh, I want to be a chef. I'm like, no, I make Smash Burgers. You can't really, that's not the same thing. But, yeah, those are the moments when people tell me that have been around a long time, and you can tell it's like, they really mean that. And then they come back. We have so many repeat customers. I'm talking about some people that come for lunch and dinner. So many repeat customers that it makes me proud every time. I'm like, man, this is actually more than just burgers. Like some people are like, you left car sales to flip burgers. You left an amazing income to flip burgers. And I'm like, I did. And I'm passionate about it and I'm proud of it. So
you mentioned that you like to draw.
Yeah.
And maybe this is like a creative outlet for you, like being a creator of burgers.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Well, I think it could be like the specialty burgers and stuff where they come from. But yeah. And that's, I don't know. I just love it so much.
I mean, food is art, and I love to cook and I love to bake and stuff like that. And it's something that's relaxing for me. It's a huge creative outlet because you can customize things.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, whenever I make something and I present it, or I bring Dustin some. I'm like, look at that. And he's like,
yep.
Thanks for the brownie.
Stuff like Hell's Kitchen. And I'm like, this is so stupid. At first I was like, this is stupid. Look how fancy they're trying to play. And then now I get it kind of like, we're serving burgers and fries, but like when we take pictures, it's like the placement. And my wife said, because she builds, whenever she works a food truck, she's the one that builds the burger. And I got to tell you, Zoe does a great job. Rose makes she puts it together perfect. And she said, she thinks that the way it's built is more important than the way it's cooked and everything, right? That presentation. And I think that is, because man, we take some pictures and I look at like, man, that's a good looking burger. Like, I don't want to eat it. It looks so pretty. Like, just leave it the way it is.
Wow.
Just so goofy. When I say it out loud, I'm like, what a dork.
Wow.
You're just passionate.
I am passionate. I'm a burger flipping.
So the next couple questions are just philosophical or whatever. Who's someone who's had the biggest impact in your life?
I'd say my dad, his work ethic. My parents and I've always had an interesting relationship. I've always been kind of black sheep. I'm always busy. I'm not around. We don't spend as much time together, even with my siblings. But I watched my dad break his back and work his butt off all his life as a taxidermist. He's passionate about that. My dad's a sculptor also. He makes some amazing sculptures. He used to have a studio above in Murphy. He did sculpting lessons. But I've watched my dad for more years than I've been alive. Well, no, I couldn't watch it before I was alive. He saw what I was about to do there.
Yeah.
My whole life, break his back and work for something he was passionate about. And that to me taught me a work ethic, right? And plus just to be passionate about it. My dad, I think, put out the best product when it came to taxidermy. I mean, there's so many people that do cheap work, right? You could go to another place and have your burger in 3 minutes and it's a cold, nasty patty. You can do that. Or you can spend a little bit more and have something of much better quality that somebody's passionate about when they created it. And that's what I watched my dad do. But yeah, my dad. My mom equally, if you hear this, Mom, I'm offended. But my dad, he's an amazing man who's worked hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think your burgers don't leave me feeling gross afterwards. Like McDonald's, you go to, you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
It wasn't food that put in my body. But your burgers, this is actually food that's in my body.
Since I started the burgers, I have visited some other places and I told my wife, I'm like, I don't know how I ate that.
Yeah.
It feels so fake.
Yeah.
Just fake. Now we use American cheese because American cheese is the best cheese for melting. It's processed crap. I know that. And I'm American. Best comment of the podcast. But it's like overall with other food, it's like, it just feels like processed fake. Blah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, appreciate the compliment.
What's one piece of wisdom that you've learned that you would wish to share with other people?
The biggest thing is don't allow your past to define your future. Don't allow your past. Your past does not define who you are. Now, ultimately, that's your choice how you move forward, but don't allow your past. Too many people will allow their past mistakes to determine what happens in their life. I'm not my past, and I've got a nasty past compared to most people. Most people are like, oh, I've got you by 50. And I can promise you, I don't allow that to define me. One of the biggest things that happened to me when I first got out of Florida took it upon themselves, which was amazing, to send me a bunch of paperwork of every victim that we took money from. It was very kind of them. And I remember sitting down in my bedroom, my wife's like, don't do this. And I'm looking through packets of victim complaint files. Like, they sent me all this. I don't know why they did. The victim's name, their phone number, how much money was taken from them. And I remember calling, and I'll kind of tie this into the answer. I remember calling, I told my wife, I said, I got to call these people and apologize to them. She said, what? I just felt like I got to call these people.
Don't use our number.
Yeah. So I remember sitting in my bedroom and I called the first person and the lady's kind of like, okay. And, we used aliases and all that crap back then. So I was like, hey, I don't really know what name I used. And I took money from you and I just got out of jail. One lady was like, okay, it's kind of weird. I said, I need to apologize. Like, it's so stupid. And she was like, okay, accept your apology. Thanks. Let's move on with life. I did 2 more calls. The fourth call was one of the most heartbreaking calls. I mean, I cried. I don't cry a lot. I called the old lady, answered the phone. And I asked for the husband. So the name was on there, and she said he's passed. I was like, oh, this is even worse. So I told her the situation, and she just sat there. And I told her, I said, I stole money from you, and I apologize. I paid for my crime. I actually just got out of jail, and they sent me all this stuff. And she's kind of emotional. And she said, I know he's gone, but I know he'd forgive you, and I forgive you, and I know he would forgive you to this day. And she told me that that money that we took from them caused them a ton of financial stress. Like, they were a family that lived off Social Security, an old couple. And I mean, that made it even worse. I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm such a dirtbag, right? But she forgave me, and she said that her husband who passed would forgive me. And that was the last call I made because I realized I can't do any more of those. But again, that in that moment, it's kind of like, if this lady I'm not going to allow my past, those mistakes, so I could call people. Because what I was doing at that point was trying to make up for the things that I'd done. You can't, right? It is what it is. But it was kind of that moment. I'm not going to allow my past, those mistakes don't define me. If this old lady found it in her heart to forgive me and I hurt her, then I need to forgive myself and move forward and realize that those mistakes don't define me. You can come back from anything. It doesn't matter what it is. You can come back. And again, if there's people in your life that won't allow you to come back or still hold those things over your head, kick them with the curb. Doesn't make you a bad person.
Do you have people like that?
Yeah. I mean, I have all kinds of people in my life that do. One thing that I found with success with the Honest Car Guy brand and that over the last several years is there's been a lot of haters come out. There's been a lot of people that will hold. I mean, there was a time where people would say that I was a fake Christian. I was a fraud. I was a con artist, and I wasn't really who I was, right? Like in the last 3 years that I did the fundraisers I did, just to benefit myself. I'm like, I didn't make that money off that. I spent money, right? But those are the kind of people that I finally realized they don't matter. I don't mean that in a rude way. They can't impact my life. And close people, I don't really have, thankfully, family that I've had to, take out of that circle. But if I did, then it wouldn't take me any time at all to say, look, I love you, but I can love you from a distance because you're not going to impact my mindset. I already deal with enough with depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have people in my life that try to use old Clinton. That person, again, as a Christian, the dead is the old is gone, the new is come, right? When I got saved, that person is gone and there's a new person now, right? A person who was addicted to cocaine and alcoholism and only cared for himself. That person is not. Again, I look back at the things I did during that crazy part of my life, and a lot of it is kind of gone. I tell people that's what happened when I gave my life to God, is parts of it were like, it's almost gone. When I was in the trials and some of that was being relived and they were bringing stuff up, I was like, man, I don't really remember that, because I believe that when I gave my life to God, a lot of that was erased. It's still a part of me, but it's stuff that's gone out of my memory. Like that way I don't have to continue to relive it, right? It's gone. The old is gone. The new is gone. And just tell people, don't dwell on the things of the past, man. Don't let them control your future. Otherwise you'll never do anything. And for me, it's like, I'm just going to move forward and do whatever I can to help people in any way possible. And if there's still people that doubt my motives, I don't really care, because I know my motives.
Yeah. And you can control your intentions, but you can't control their interpretation.
Exactly. That's good. That's really good.
Last question.
Yeah.
So Real Change started to simply prevent panhandling in town by just giving people access to resources. Okay. So instead of getting spare change out the window, we're trying to give people real change by this sort of thing. But we recognize that real change can mean a lot of things. You've obviously had a lot of changes in your life, from being a con artist to a salesman to a smash burger wizard. So
very freaking water the world.
But when you think about making a real change in your life or seeing real change in other people, what does that look like? Or what would that look like?
Ask that again. Like, not all the stuff, but the question. Sorry.
So when you think of making a real change in your life or seeing real change in someone else, what does that look like?
I think I think when you see someone actually trying to move forward, right? Like, you're not always successful with it right away. But I think it's when you see people that really want to, because there's two types of people. There's people that really want to change and move forward. And then there are the people that don't. They put on that front, but they don't plan on moving out of that place. It's kind of like when I came back, I had this might be off the question. I had several people that asked me to help. Hey, my son has this drug addiction problem. Because again, there's a lot of things about me that were not normal. I was able to be broke from drug addiction, like a $500 a day cocaine addiction like that. Right? I gave my life to God. It was gone. I had no urge for it, which is crazy. But there were a lot of people, and I would tell friends or parents, I'm like, if they don't want it, they're not going to change. They have to want it. I don't know if I'm even answered it.
I think that's a good thing. Yeah, you have to want it.
Yeah, I think that's, but I don't even know if I answered your question right.
I don't think there's any right or wrong way to answer it.
Yeah. But I love what you guys stand for. I mean, honestly, and it's how you started and where you are now. It's funny. Like I mentioned about the
sugar treatment.
Yeah. I saw, was it a blog or was it a podcast?
We
say it all the time.
What do you say? Like,
we do say it all the time. That was our anniversary post on Facebook. Yeah. We went from 100% hating them to like, I don't know, let's hear what they have to say.
And I had to read it twice. I'm like, does that say 100%?
Yeah,
They just
wait a
posted
minute.
about Al getting Al's coffee, and I'm like,
Yeah. Wait, those
the
guys?
day of that interview, we sat in here and we were like, this is going to be something nuts. This guy's crazy, like, blah, blah. And he came in and we talked
Who
to
was
him,
it?
Lee.
It was
Lee,
Lee Sam.
And we
Yeah.
talked
You're
to
like,
Lee
this is
for
gonna-
hours. And
Yeah.
he left and,
It was 2 hours, yeah.
yeah.
And you
And
both
we were
mind shift.
like, yeah.
Mind shift. So, and that's where I appreciate you guys and not knowing you very well. I'm glad you came to the food truck that first day and you kept emailing me because
Persistence, sales.
persistent. Yes. Because that's something that I believe is amazing. That shows what so many people in this community are lacking. Some that have a voice still somehow.
Uh-huh.
You know, if you know.
I think we know.
Yeah.
I think we know.
Even those listening, you know. Because what you did was you took something, you said, look, I'm going to be honest. I had 100% hate for this organization.
Yeah,
Not really having all the facts, right?
sure.
But
Yeah,
I,
sure.
I took the time with an
Yeah.
open mind.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing I think people do is they have a decision made in their head.
Right.
And even if they do sit down and listen to somebody, they don't do it with an open mind and they won't allow themselves to see anything past this dark perception they have. And listen, we set up at CVS a couple times with our food truck.
Mm-hmm.
We have homeless people come up and ask, is there free food?
Mm-hmm.
For those who get offended by that listening, don't get over it. Right. I gave free food to a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I give them some fries. Right. And maybe that's my mindset from being a person who was probably pretty close to homelessness, who has been that
Mhm.
kind of, but again, it's looking at the bigger picture. And I love what Sugar Tree stands for. I mean, I remember growing up, my family, Clinton Massey, my cousin Ben and them lived in Clarksville. Ben was always at Joe's Java House with Sugar Tree, like way back in the day. And I think that it's just amazing to see, like, when I read that 100% hate, now, and that's just by sitting down and listening to somebody and actually having an open mind and going, huh. So my thoughts were right. Cause
Right.
you put 100% hate, you probably meant that, right?
Well, we're trying to number everything, so I just figured that would be a good
Yeah,
number
but
for that one.
would you drive by there and go, ugh.
Yeah, like this place like is tearing our town down. They're enabling people. Like
Yeah.
as a
To be
business.
fair, it was like April and Dustin was driving by going, ugh, that garden.
See, and now I saw
And
you-
that too, and that too.
Yeah. So, and that's for anybody listening, man, that's the kind of mindset you need to have. You need to have a mindset of going, okay, quit listening to everybody else's opinion about things.
Yeah.
And make your own.
I think it was just like the ethos in the town. Like, everyone was like, "Oh, screw that place." I'm like, "Yeah, screw them." Like,
they're doing videos and they're like, well,
I hate them too.
Yeah. I want to video these people and I'm going
Yeah.
to rile them up and then I'm going to video them. Okay, CNN.
Wow.
Post, but I want to post this when in my timing.
Sure.
But yeah, that was just something that stood out to me. And the more I research and look up about you guys, it's pretty awesome. So I'm definitely honored to be on your podcast.
Well, thanks.
Excited to see what you guys are doing in the community because, again, I love this community. And
Yeah, us too. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to ask more questions that we didn't ask or something?
cell phone, I plastered everywhere, 937-728-4133, call or text. Probably have 50 voicemails. I don't really check those. It's text, call, Facebook Messenger, the Becker SMASH-tastic, or just come see us at the food truck.
Yeah.
Even if you just want to talk, don't even buy anything, right?
Look,
We love
you looked at me when he said, don't buy anything. I don't eat beef. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. Don't be sorry. Listen, we tried to cater to non-beef eating. We had a big portobello mushroom that we would like saute in garlic butter, and we made a sandwich out of it. And problem was those things are stinking expensive, and the demand wasn't there, so they were going bad. We tried to make a veggie burger.
What did you call mushrooms today?
Dirt sponges.
Dirt sponges.
I'm not a mushroom fan. That's
Yeah. That's disgusting.
No, don't be. Listen, there's probably
like
people
mushrooms.
that come to the food trailer that I know, that may just get like fries or something.
I saw those dill pickle fries today.
Oh, they're fire.
Well, he got us to order and was like, do you want anything? And I went, no. And then I saw that and I went, darn.
If you just get a toasted tomato sandwich, I'll just give you one of those next time. My daughter made one the other day. It's just tomato, mayonnaise, and a toasted bun. I was like,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, I'm kind of burgered out. I don't eat as many burgers as I do now. That first 4 months around the food truck, man, I was like every day.
Yeah.
That's all you're eating. But now all the sides, help me out. I enjoy them.
Mm.
The onion rings are good. Yeah, we've trial and error. We've sampled different sides, and I try to get feedback from other people with what they think, and hopefully got it pretty dialed in. So, yeah, we still love the non-beef eaters.
Well, thanks for being on our podcast. See you around.
My pleasure.
Well, that's it for our podcast today, folks. Hope you enjoyed listening to Clinton Becker's story. And if you haven't tried them yet, definitely try a smash burger from Beckers SMASH-tastic Burgers. they are Smash. And if anyone wants to contact Real Change Wilmington, how would they do that, Emily?
Well, you can go to our website, but we also have social media, Facebook, Instagram, we're on YouTube. You can reach out through our contact forms, email us. If you see us in public, you can stop by and say hi. I'm not here that often anymore, but say hi to Dustin. He's more friendly anyway.
I'm glad you said it, Emily. Also, we have a newspaper that goes around bi-monthly, so check that out as well.
Yep, the February issue is coming out soon.
With that, I'm your host, Dustin Pierce.
And I'm the co-host, Emily Griffin.
Keep it real, Wilmington.